So, I wanted to grab this to sort of see what the fuss was about with the new Fender Player 2 series. A lot of those videos that you would have seen would have obviously been guitars that were sent out to people. People like me, who I guess would show you things when they're wrong as well. So, particularly for me, the Player 2 Strat that I bought from Gear for Music. That one has gone back specifically because the back skunk stripe, there was some finishing issues there. The guitar itself, I actually liked quite a lot. Another small issue with it was that the E string kind of had this sitar type thing going on, you know, where it has some sympathetic ringing. Aside from that, I thought it was a beautiful looking guitar. This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. Okay, one thing I think we should be realistic about with opening guitars out of a box is that they're not all going to be perfect. That's why I tried to be fair with that last Strat. And at the same time, I had ordered this from Toman. As I've said before, if I was going to be looking for a really consistently good unboxing experience, I'd probably buy from a smaller kind of store, whether that be Peach Guitars or you know, Rose Morris in London. I don't know, you guys in the US probably have some other stores, but you know, shops which can actually open each box, inspect each guitar. Don't play with knives, kid. Right, take this.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay, let's look at it up close.
Yeah.
Very high action on that. So I'm going to give the truss rod, I guess, a bit of a smidge. But in general, looking pretty good. There's a bit of a knot on the fretboard there. Is that ideal? It looks kind of interesting at least. No finishing flaws on this particularly. It's a bit more what I was expecting from the last one, to be honest with you. Let's tune it up, see how it sounds. In close, you hopefully can see a bit of the rolled fretboard edges. It does really feel pretty comfortable, no sharp fret edges. Pretty tidy guitar, to be honest. That's a bit more what I'd be expecting. One negative to point out with this guitar, or two negatives actually. The nut is a little bit on the sloppy side in terms of finishing. And that is not uncommon on guitars, whether they're, you know, Indonesian made or like the Sire stuff. Often the thing that I look at that is going to give away whether a guitar is slightly cheaper or not will be the nut. This is a £700 guitar. I don't know whether you'd expect that nut to be a bit tidier cut than that or not. I did do a demo of a Donna guitar which had a bone nut that was really tidily done. But typically on guitars that aren't PRSs around this price range that I've seen, the nut is one area which could use a little more attention. This does also weigh 8 pounds and 4 ounces, which is not really lightweight for a Telecaster. It's not the heaviest Telecaster ever either, but what that means for me is that, well, it's a little heavier than ideally I'd like it to be, so probably would mean that it's less mature wood, right? Just to make some conclusions from that. Really nicely rolled fretboard edges. That it seems to me to be the main thing that they've really made a difference on these guitars, because typically Fenders underneath the sort of £1,000 price range that I've seen have some of these sharper frets and don't necessarily feel super comfortable, whereas this does. Not bad at all. The fretboard looks ever so slightly dry. The truss rod needed like an extra turn to kind of bring it back to where it's at now, but pretty happy with it. I'm going to try and gig it on Saturday, so I'll do a bit of a follow-up video and see how it does being played for 2 hours. I've got one slight thing where this E string is slipping off a little bit easier than normal. I don't know quite why that might be, because there's not much of a radius on there, but we'll see what happens with that. I think a kid's about to attack me, but how does it sound? So, sounds good. Pickups are decent enough sounding. Good job on the frets overall. Plays really fantastically well. I can't really find too much wrong with it. As I say, for me, if I'd be looking to grab one of these specifically, I might go onto the Peach website and check out which of them are weighing kind of where I'd like them to sit. So sort of around £7, £7, 7 ounces, around there might be a little bit more reasonable for a Telecaster weight. But You know, a Telecaster is to some extent a Telecaster, and even though this is an expensive K-line Truxton, you know, which is a handmade by one guy in Missouri, you know, I'm getting similar vibes from both. I guess the Telecaster purist is going to probably be thinking, I want to change this bridge, which maybe you might want to do, or maybe you might not, depending on whether you prefer the improved intonation, or do you give up some of that classic kind of Telecaster twang with that. I don't know, share your opinions in the comments, but in general, feels great. The neck not too skinny. It's called Modern C. What that means, they haven't actually put up the kind of actual thickness, but it feels pretty comfortable, not too on the slim side, but not quite as chunky as this K-line Medium C, but also not far skinnier, so that's a good thing. All in all, for you know, near enough £700, I'm quite impressed. I'm not blown away. This is about where I'd expect it to be, where you get a guitar with a couple of kind of minor QC flaws potentially, maybe a little bit on the heavier side. I guess what you hope for is that as you go up in money, you get less of those issues. I don't know whether that is actually the case particularly anymore. And I guess my conclusion from this is that possibly Indonesian-made guitars, based on what I'm seeing these days, might actually be more reliable purchases. You know, if you buy a PRS SE, those to me have been pretty decent guitars. Certainly not any worse than some of the Fender Mexican stuff that I've seen, and in a lot of cases quite a bit better. And in some cases, you know, they put some real thought into the specs and stuff that go with those guitars. So I'd be, you know, seriously looking at Indonesian guitars as an option these days. Yamaha Revstars, Yamaha Pacificas, PRS SE stuff, the Sire stuff. To me, like, the Mexican stuff is not so clear exactly where this is anymore, because you've got really decently made Squires, Indonesian and Chinese, that I think probably rival the Mexican stuff. It's become a little bit unclear exactly, you know, to me, what it is that these guitars are doing. Like, what space do they occupy, really? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But the entry-level Fender, I guess it is, you know, because the other things say Squire on them. But is it necessarily a big step up from a good Squire? I don't know. Possibly not. Let me know your thoughts. And I guess also another final thought, because the bridge is kind of non-standard, possibly the Sire Tele versions might in some ways be, you know, a little bit more true to a Tele build in that regard. Of course, you've got different kind of neck access and stuff with the Sire. I get similar to the Strat comparison that I did with it, where I think it's a bit more like a Sir Tele, a bit more like a Sir Strat, whereas this is obviously like Fender shapes and stuff, and Fender body, neck joint and all that. So yeah, but in general, the rosewood's back, and they're not using super light, awful looking rosewood. It's maybe a little dry, but with a bit of Monty's fretboard wax, that'll be fine. They're rolling the fretboard edges, and it feels comfortable out of the box. Well, this one does, and the other one did. Some QC issues, but I guess that's to be expected with a mass manufacturer. Or is it?